Today's January 23rd. Santander and Profar are off the board. No more talking ourselves into thinking the Pirates ever had a shot in the first place. Let's talk about it. Talk about the Hall. Talk about baseball. It's the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Yins, guys. Thank you for listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast, where we talk all about them Pittsburgh Pirates and that. My name is Josh, and I'm joined as always by my brother Jake. What's up, Jake?
So I'm keeping on refreshing MLB trade rumors to see if we're doing anything.
No.
I think my internet's broke.
You're refreshing the wrong place, man.
Oh, my goodness.
You're refreshing in the wrong place.
I don't think it matters what place I go, brother.
You're not going to get any news anyway.
Nope. Listen, I'll give you some news, okay? So I said it was going to get cold. I said it might snow. We did get about 5 to 6 inches in some places down here. But not only that, the Gulf of America froze.
What a way to kick it off.
To say it. But no, like literally, like a coworker of mine who lives down by the beach was literally walking on, the ice of the Gulf. So pretty wild down here. I know it's much colder up there. I'm not trying to complain. I'm not trying to compare. Just not normal down here. But I think New Orleans, I think got 9 inches of snow. They were playing ice hockey on Canal Street.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I love seeing stuff like that.
It was really cool. Some of the pictures are really cool.
I would welcome snow all the time if it happened none of the time except for like that. Yeah. Like every time, not all the time, but every time, if it rarely ever happened, I'd be like, look at the snow. This is great. I just looked out my window right before we came down and started getting set up and everything. And I was like, I can't see anything. There's just snow everywhere. Yeah, the wind's blowing. So like any snow's falling. It's just like, I couldn't see. There's the back of our house, just for explanation. I know, but the back of our house, we have a small yard or whatever. And then there's like a yard that is like part of everything else. Right. And then on down is like this little like pond that's behind these houses over there. Couldn't even see it. Couldn't even see it. Like you could hit it with a baseball. I know, because there's geese that wait, no. Anyway, I never tried that. Come on, man. I never tried that. I was just kidding. It was funny though. But anyway,
it's funny this here Nola Jeffy getting to play some pond hockey. He actually, I saw on Twitter, he was mad because he didn't realize they were doing it, or he would have grabbed his stuff and went down.
Yeah, well, it is crazy. It is crazy.
I did have a buddy of mine who actually went snowboarding on the Gulf Coast. Like,
yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool then. I mean, it's better than a tornado, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Am I allowed to say that? Or is that too?
No.
Yeah. That is true. Katie.
She's calling you out.
I did I did drive a remote control monster truck at the geese one. I was like herding them like sheep to get them out of our yard. That is true. I was funny. Like, if our kids are going to get remote control cars for Christmas, I'm going to use them for
100%.
For good.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have to. So anyway.
I will say, like, because of I don't know if it's because of the cold weather, but like my wife took this picture on her way to work today and just gorgeous sunrise, right?
This is where we are as a podcast. This is what the Pirates have done to us, Jake.
Hey, you can't deny that picture, man. That was a good picture. But it's Wild.
We're talking about snow in the Gulf. We're talking about pictures. We're sharing pictures. That's what we're doing here. We're talking about remote control and geese, all because the Pirates won't do nothing in right field.
Listen,
let's not bury the lead, Jake. All right, let's go straight into it. Anthony Santander to the Blue Jays, 5 years, 92.
Mm-hmm.
And today, hours before this, Jerks and Profar to the Braves, 3 for 42, which is an interesting number because I kind of thought it was 3 for 45. That was, you know what I'm saying? That I thought, hey, you can do this. 15, we can do it. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Both of those contracts are affordable. They're affordable. They could have done it. We could have pulled the trigger on either one of those contracts and been able to put up that money. 12 mil. 12, 15, 15. Where it's behind me. I'm working on it, trying to get it hung up, JP. It's back here, sitting right back here on the couch. I mean, get it? I mean, it's sitting there.
We've shown it off.
100%.
So the thing is like, I would have even gone higher AAV on Profar, but for less years. And I think that probably would have been a smarter thing for the Pirates to do if they could have gone even 18 for like a 2-year deal or something like that. I would have been like, that's worth it. 3-year deal, I can understand being like, okay, who's Profar going to be for the next 3 years? You're talking about a guy who signed for $1 million last offseason. You know what I'm saying? So like, he broke out, but like how far are we going? You know what I'm saying? How far are we going down there? And that's, I think, the biggest question is, would you go that 3rd year? It's possible the Pirates were never interested in the first place. We were interested, but you talk about what you talk about and you go there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't understand this one. I'll be honest with you. You shared something different.
Oh, sorry.
No,
OG's saying the net present value per year for Santander is only $14 million. It was adjusted because they did the deferrals in it.
Gotcha. Well, the Santander contract, I don't understand how you would not want that. You're getting 40 home runs a year, 30 to 40 home runs. I don't understand where the problem is. You could take 5 years. He's 35 years old. He's now your DH and he's hitting you 40 homers. I don't understand why you wouldn't want that contract.
I think there's
$10 million for
5 years. I know, but
years?
I think there's a lot of doubt in the length for him. But
35, that's not old for a guy who's going to profile as your DH and just hit tanks.
But at 35, I don't know that you're getting 30, 40 homers. Or are you saying that it goes until he's 35?
That's what you're saying. That's the end of his contract. Like he signed a 5-year deal. He's 30 years old.
Yeah, I got you. I was like, I don't think he's 30.
I don't see an issue with it at all.
Right. I mean, obviously that's a big investment for a team. And this isn't an excuse, right? I'm trying to come up with a way that they're going to spin this type of thing, but that's a big investment for a team like the Pirates, who are essentially, according to them, right? Not according to anything that we would know or think we know. Let's just say we're trying to go down this path with me here, Jake. For them to take a chance on that, or let's word it this way: for Ben, who is only allotted so much money, if he wants to use that much of his money in one place and that one place fails, it's a boom or bust contract. And it is okay, if this doesn't work, we're screwed. This will never work. But if it does work, great. We've got a 5-year window of competitive, good baseball. And it is one of those, it's a risk, high reward type thing. It's, you know what I'm saying? And so I can see from that angle where the Pirates would say, and it's not as much risk on the player as it is risk on just the money being spent. And so I could understand the further out it goes and the higher that dollar goes, that if that's the way they're thinking, Whether they're right or not, and whether we want to make that argument is a different story. But what I'm saying is, if that's what they're thinking, I could understand not going that way, but maybe still sticking to the Profar thing that can be a shorter distance. I would bet to you that if the Pirates were making some sort of offer at a Santander or Jerks and Profar, it will be for shorter terms. And the only way you can woo him is to try to up the money for that 1 or 2 year deal, just to try to say, well, you can make more money now and then sign later. Profar, actually, neither one of them are really. Profar was probably never getting more than 3 years anyway.
Yeah.
Just because of the inconsistency throughout his career. For me, what I saw and why I believed in Profar was, as Mike says, I know you were holding out hope for that one, Josh. My thing with Profar and why I believed is because I felt like there was a level of maturity that happened. It's not like he came out and like blasted a bunch of home runs. He still stayed who he is. But I just thought that the way that he was equally patient and hitting, like not striking out, and productive in different ways. We saw him a completely different player in the 1 hole than he was in the 3 hole. He's adapting and understanding what's being asked of him, and that's what I liked about him. Yeah. So that's kind of that's why I was leaning that way, and why I thought, for me, that if they went Profar, I'm locked in. Like, I thought that was that big of a deal. Or like a 1 or 2 year deal on Santander. So
yeah. I don't know. I just thought the upside for power that we just, as an organization, pretty much lack. I was holding on hopes for that maybe in some way, shape, or form we'd be trying harder at Santander. If and I wonder if even you got to think that the GMs have their fingers on all this stuff, and you got to think Ben knew that the price was coming down a little bit. Like, he had to know that.
He has to, unless he's just not checking
far,
in at all.
Right. And at that point, it's like, dude, you're missing. What are we doing? I don't know, man. It's tough because power is. I'll pay for power. That's something that's just, you just don't come by all the time.
Our nephew Owen says, "What's up?" And they're calling a big year from Jack Sawinski because he met Owen, got a famous fist bump. You ever get a chance to meet Owen, you'll get it. You'll get it. So yeah, I don't know. I looking at some of the chats in here too. Doug says, so now it's 2026. We'll get there eventually, maybe, just like Boston. And we're going to get into this in weeks to come. I think there's a different feeling between getting one of these guys that would be a lock for right field, guaranteed producer, and going all the way to give up. And here's why I say that. If one of these guys is a guy that will move the needle, if one of these guys is a guy that would change the outlook of the season to say, all right, I'm into this season. I'm into 2025 because they got that guy. If that's the case, then they can't be a lost cause without that signing. Because if they were a lost cause without that signing, then I would make the argument that signing doesn't mean a whole lot. The starting pitching that's on this team, there are some good players on this team, but the reason they're not a lost cause is because they've got a number of guys that have a chance to be better.
Yeah.
And I think we'll end up, get to spring training, sun's shining, everybody's warmer, the golf is unfrozen. We start to go down this line. And I think that we're going to have optimism. We're going to have hope. I don't know how far it goes. I don't think any of us are going to sit here and say, like, I think this team can win the division. Like, I don't feel like we're ever going to get there without like a serious, like maybe a big trade or something. It's not in free agency, Jake. You know what I'm saying?
I get that. I just, I pulled it up just to make sure I wasn't just throwing last year's numbers and complaining because of what he did last year. But you got a guy like Santander that we could have signed for 110 million for 5 years. And, it's not like he's his first year being productive. You go back to 2019, he had a 100, so he was league average at 24 years old.
2019, that's interesting. Juice ball year.
Yeah. So he only hit 20 home runs, but his OPS plus, I'm just going to read OPS pluses right now. The 100 in 2019, 2020 shortened season. He was a 135. He went down to a 94 for 2021, but then 120, 121, 134. So there's nothing in his game that makes me think he's going to take a step back randomly. And there's also he has played first base. So he's got that in his back pocket. Okay, well, maybe he's not our DH in 4 years. Maybe he's our first baseman in 4 years. Maybe, Horwitz doesn't work out and Santander slides into first. You get to go get another right, or Jack Sawinski steps up at that point. There's just so much there that Santander could have. Man, that one irks me a little bit. That he's not that I thought we had a shot, because I really didn't. But when I saw what he signed for, is when I got aggravated, because we could have had Tony Tater pierogies. You know what I'm saying? It works. I don't know, man. It's just the Braves fans that I know here are not happy with the Braves for signing Profar. I don't understand that. He's going to fit that lineup so well.
Yeah, I think actually, obviously you want him in Pittsburgh, but I think he's a better fit for Atlanta than he is. Like, the Atlanta Braves are a better fit for him than the Pirates are.
Yeah.
I feel like he's going to slot right in there. I don't know that he's going to be. The thing is in Atlanta, he won't have to be. In Pittsburgh, he would have had to been a dude. In Atlanta, he won't have to be. I think it's a great signing. It's inexpensive. Like, it's not a big contract. He's making 12 and then 15 for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
First off, they can absorb that. That's a big contract for us, not for them. But in the world, like in this market right now, it's just not big. We talk about this all the time, and we tend to think, and we have to, right? But we tend to think a lot of times about what that means in Pittsburgh money, and not even what we think they can do, but what we know they will do. And what that means in Pittsburgh money, like $7 million for Ke'Bryan Hayes is a lot of money. Like, that's not a lot of money. He's cheap. He's arbitration. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
It's just not. But it's hard to separate yourself from that. But like, no, Profar's contract is reasonable. That's the best way to put it. It's a reasonable contract. It's not as much as he could be worth, but also because of the risk of him going in and out, year in and year out, good year, bad year kind of thing. It also protects you a little bit for those, and maybe averages out to a nice number.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, actually, OG says Profar might give you a real dud of a year or two in there, and that would not go well in Pittsburgh. And that's the thing, is like, once you're signing a guy like that in Pittsburgh for that kind of money, he has to be a dude. And if he's not, then it does hurt you more than it hurts the Braves if he has a bad year. I mean, they made runs with what's his face in left field, who was just like kind of even less than Profar, but just did
Eddie
so
Rosario.
well there. Yeah, Rosario, but just did so well there because he just fit in, and he did things when he needed to do things. When you're a supporting player for some of those starters, some of those superstars, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Olsen and Acuna, and I mean, you could even throw Ozzy Albies at times into that mix. Riley. They've got boppers. They've got the strength in that lineup. Just be like another guy, and you're going to be super valuable for that team. Have a big moment, and it was worth it.
Yeah, he's going to bat low in their order. Like, he's going to bat like 6 or 7.
Yeah, but if they need to, he could bat leadoff. Like, Acuna's not going to be there at the beginning of the year. It's going to be Kelenic. Yeah. And so, you could see Profar at the top of the order at the beginning of the year, and then as soon as Acuna gets there, he takes Kelenic's spot in the order, and that team just gets even better. You know what I mean? Like it's a good fit for Atlanta. It would have been a fit for us too. Just not as good, right? It would have been better for us, not as good for him.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a frustrating time, and I want to ask you this. Because last year we were told, right? Let's think about the cliche. Let's think about the things that were talked about. They're going to shop in a different part of the store this year, right? That was the way that it was talked about. And then all off season, we were like, that's good. That's good. I mean, we waited for this. We're going to do it. Wait, they're not though. They're not shopping in a different part of the store. It's the same aisle.
Yeah.
And then at the end, that's what it was. No, we went to the same exact aisle. This year, that wasn't the line. It was, all right, we're committed. We're going to do this thing. You're going to see payroll go up. Part of it by natural, just guys making more money. The other part of it is they were going to fill a hole. They were going to go out and they were going to address a need in the offseason. And they had two of them. In particular, we know shortstop, right?
Yeah.
We think shortstop as a whole, but they've never communicated that. They are fine with IKF. So we kind of swallow that one because, we have our opinion on that. But for them, they went after first and they were going after right field. And remember at the beginning of the offseason, it was like if they get two outfielders, then they'll go Reynolds at first and whatever else we were talking about. And then they haven't got any outfielders.
No.
They didn't get either corners.
No. What was DJ Stewart or something like that? That guy?
Is he an outfielder? That's a first baseman, right?
I think he's a first baseman, corner outfielder.
Gosh. Well, but the thing is like DJ Stewart doesn't count, right?
No.
Because DJ Stewart to me is, he's a minor league signing. Those guys are a dime a dozen. You have to sign those kind of guys. He's a guy who's been in the show. He's got some experience. He's been down. That could spark. I mean, you remember we had Jake Lamb down all year, and he played well. That doesn't mean we call him up. So, there's scenarios like that like I think those types of signings are important, but not for the Pirates. They're just important to fill out your minor league. The minor leagues have to play games too, and you don't want a bunch of young guys playing with nobody around that's just, oh yeah, now we have a better team. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you put those guys into positions like DJ Stewart might bat third, and you're like, there's three guys on this lineup better. Yeah, but we want those guys hitting where we want those guys hitting. Yeah. We don't just want to put our best hitter at third. We want to put them in scenarios that we think they'll hit at the next level. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
This is good right here. I just want to go ahead and bring this up real quick. Last year we thought our hitting lineup was dominant. So glad Haynes is gone. Like, I mean, legitimately the changing guard at the hitting coach could have a bigger impact than maybe we realize, and we're crying out for these signings, and you don't know. Maybe Matt Haig is already doing work. You know what I mean? I have no reason to believe that is happening. I got nothing to stand on with that, but maybe he is already like studying film, saying, "Hey guys, Sawinski's going to break out. I can see what he was doing. All that, I can see what so and so was doing. I can see we're gonna tap into these people's potential, these players' potential more than we ever have." That's your dose of hope. Is that work for your dose of hope?
Yeah,
because I really hope that's what's happening right now.
Yeah,
to me, I just can't see any other reason why the Pirates aren't even coming up on any of the trade rumors pages.
Well, and part of that, okay, so Stewart's an outfielder. Thanks, Bucko Mike. It's one of those things that we haven't quite figured out yet. Is Ben really good at keeping quiet, or is he just never talking to anybody?
Yeah, I don't know.
We hear at the end of a lot of guys like, oh, they had conversations. As a matter of fact, we can talk about that. We heard more about conversations last year than we have this year.
Yeah.
Shota, Manaya, and I always forget the third one, but there were 3 guys in particular that it was like, oh, the Pirates were in on that guy, and that, they talked about this, and they were, one of the finalists or whatever, and it's like, all right, so last year we shopped at a different part of the aisle, but we went down that thing and passed every one of them up and went to the next aisle and be like, this is more our pace. Right? You couldn't reach it. Yeah. You went to that aisle and you're like, oh, it's too high. And then somebody taller than you comes by and grabs it and goes. So this year they were like, screw that. I can't even reach that. We're not even going to go there. That's what it feels like.
Last year.
That's what it feels like.
It is. Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. Right now, free agency, the best available guys are probably Verdugo and Grichuk that we've been talking about for weeks, that they've actually been, and maybe Austin Hayes. I'm still real nervous about the Austin Hayes. Austin Hayes is certainly only a platoon player, so is Randall Grichuk. So if you go Grichuk or Hayes, you're relying on Jack Sawinski. Or Joshua Palacios, right? Either one of them
of the two
can come out and do something, but they are going to be, that's essentially maybe Harrison Bader, but that's not a fit. That's not a fit, right?
No.
Outfielder, yes. Bat, no. Probably not.
Yeah.
Not reliable right now.
Right.
So not the situation. I mean, especially because if you're not even going to play Bader in center field, he's going to lose a lot of his value right there.
Right. Except for our left field is huge. So, I mean, it would help on defense.
Well, that's true. If he's in left, not right field, then I could see you could still recoup some of that.
Slide Reynolds over to right. Yeah.
Right. That's a good point. Giga Mosher says, did you hear about Reynolds wanting the lineups to be more consistent? I did not hear that.
Did not either.
It seems interesting that Reynolds, Mr. 2-hitter, has anything to say about he's never hit anywhere else except for 2.
Well, I mean, that's Brian Reynolds also signed an extension and wants to win in Pittsburgh. So,
yeah, you could say that, but we've gone down this path before, Jake, that saying that you're changing the lineups every day doesn't mean that you're trying to lose. Right. Every team is going to play matchups and they're going to move guys in and out depending on who's sitting today. It used to be if your 6-hitter was sitting out for a day, you just put somebody in the 6 hole. Whoever's playing for him goes in the 6 hole. That's just not what you do anymore, right? He's going in the 9 hole, or maybe he's better in some other spot, and they're going to move everybody around to get the best possible lineup for the first 5 innings against that pitcher, and then that's it. That's what they're going to do every single day. Now, the reason that Derek Shelton does it more than other teams is because Derek Shelton has one guy who's an everyday, solid, earned his spot player.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's why Derek Shelton moves his around. You look at the Braves, they've got 4 guys at the top of the lineup who you don't have to move because they're perennial all-stars.
Yep.
And the Pirates don't have that. So the Pirates are going to move their lineup around and make sure that they're getting the most out of their matchups and whatever else. So to me, I think the fact that you're moving the lineup around with this group of players is probably more of an indication that you're trying to win. It's just, how good are you at it? You know what I mean? It's kind of one of those things. It's like, well, you're trying. I'll give you that, but that's not it.
Yeah.
So, but I like the fact that Reynolds is going out there. You want your players to say stuff like that, though, because the players are confident in what they're doing. The players are like, Reynolds is not only confident in his ability to hit in the same place every day and to play there every day, but he's confident in his teammates. We hear this over and over again. Those guys in the clubhouse, they actually believe that this is possible.
Yeah.
Because they play with these guys every day. They like the guys in that clubhouse and they feel good about it right now. I'm not thinking that they think they're like the team to beat, but they're confident that they can make some noise.
Yeah.
What's that?
Cheryl said someone at Pirate Fest asked about the different lineups and what you just said was pretty much Shelton's answer.
Well, there you go. There you go. He's been watching the podcast, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks, Cheryl, for that. What do you call it? I don't know. Confidence boost. Getting something right every once in a while. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, Verdugo and Grichuk. So I was going to say the irony of this whole thing is if you could think back a while ago and say that we are now thinking they should have been more aggressive to get a guy like Verdugo or Grichuk. Because now that those two guys are both off the board, Verdugo's like, all right, who missed out?
Yeah.
I could go to the Pirates. I could go, I forget what other team was talking to him, maybe the Mets. Or not the Mets. I don't remember who it was. Anyway, I could do that. Or I could sit and wait on whoever else missed out on Profar. They might be interested in me now. Maybe I can move somebody's number up a little bit. Or if I can't move anybody's number up, maybe I can get on a team who has a little bit of a better shot.
Yeah. Validation, I think, is the word you were looking for.
There we go. That is the word I was looking for. Did somebody put it in there?
No, it just popped in my head.
Nice.
And I just had to say it before it left.
Nice. There you go. So, all right. So let me ask you this. If you're Verdugo, we're just going to use Verdugo. I'm just going with him first, right?
Sure.
Or you know what? Cali Buccos fan says Verdugo and Grichuk are still on the board. They always seem like the most realistic. If that's the case, I hope it's Randall. Once again, I will say that means you also hope that it's Palacios or Sawinski. Because if you bring in Randall Grichuk and you treat him like Connor Joe, you will not get a good player. He has to only play against left-handed pitching, which means you need a lefty to hit on the other side of that. That's the only reason that I kind of go Verdugo, because it's the bulk of the at-bats go into whoever you sign. That's the only reason. But if you believe that Sawinski's ready to break out, Grichuk could be your guy, right? So let's use Grichuk. I forget which one it really is. So I forget. The Reds are looking for an outfielder, and I can't remember if they're looking for right or left-handed, right? I think it actually is right-handed because they just got Lux left-handed, lost India. Either way, let's say you're offered a contract by the Pirates and the Reds, and you look at those rosters right now, and you look at that stadium right now.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you going? Are you going Paul Skeens and that pitching staff, thinking that maybe I have a better shot of competing if I'm on that team? Or do you go Ellie and that infield? I can be the outfielder on that team, and I can rake for a year and hopefully boost my...
Shelton versus Francona.
Oh, my God. Well, I didn't even think about that. Shelton and Tito, this is over.
Yeah.
Really? I mean, that's a huge deal. That Shelton and
really
Tito
is.
thing might be the tipping point.
Yeah.
Boylan's vanilla cream tonight, by the way.
The pure life. I'm living it.
That's good. It's a good life to live.
I don't know, man. I kind of would rather have Grichuk just out of the... I have more hope and faith in Sawinski turning it around.
Mm-hmm.
Than any of the other options. Our current staff, like, I just don't know. I could be. I'm not saying right or wrong about Cook. I'm just not ready for Cook. You know what I'm saying? It's just tough. And I don't know that Cook's quite there yet. And
I think that's the thing, is we're not going to know.
Jack Sawinski might not be back. You know what I mean? But Jack's hit 26 home runs in a season before.
Right.
So I kind of like the Grichuk Jack platoon to start the season to see how that goes. The problem is you can't go back and be like, oh, let's get rid of both of them and bring in Verdugo and try that. You can't do
Right.
that. So it's just it is tough now. It's tough.
All right, I'm going to go down through some of the chat here because it's popping. There's a lot of good points out here. Canyon says, I think it's because they don't like opt-outs. He was talking about some of the other ones. And yeah, I mean, the Pirates haven't done opt-outs. Therefore, that's what we're at. That's where we're at. We don't really know that they don't, but until they do it, we're gonna say that exact sentence right there, right? So Mutu says he doesn't think he can handle Verdugo. That's fair. He's a lot. I think, I think he is a lot. So I also think he's grown up a little bit, maybe a little bit there. Bucko Mike says Hayes can't hit with the runners in scoring position. I think he's talking about Austin Hayes, no E between the Y and the S there. Mutu, if they give Verdugo $10 million, I'm crashing out. They might have to. They might have to get the player. Listen, the amount of money they get doesn't matter so long as they land the player. Ultimately, they've got money to spend now because they've missed out on everybody who costs anything.
Yeah.
Doug Smith says, hot take, runners in scoring position will be our biggest improvement this year. I hope so, but also maybe like warm take because it was so bad that it kind of has. Well, you're saying biggest improvement, so that's fair. I like it. And I think there is some truth to that. I think Nick Gonzalez, who was a strong player with runners in scoring position, is going to be another year older. Horwitz is good in that manner. If you get somebody else, I think Grichuk had good numbers with runners in scoring position as well. So I think there are some things. There you go. Bucko Mike Grichuk better with runners in scoring position. And 302 over 80 at bats lifetime at PNC. Thanks, Bucko Mike. Couple more of these here. Actually, let's go down through them. There's a lot here. Bucko Mike says, 2 guys who should be slated in consistent spots, but only one is a consistent spot. Kutch 1, Reynolds 2. Cruz should be 3 or 4. Shelton tries to get cute and bat Kutch 4. It doesn't work. We've looked those numbers up and he's shared them in the chat before that his numbers in the 4 hole, even though it sounds like it makes sense, they weren't as good. So, that's fair. That could change this year, but whatever. But Gigamosher said this would probably be the best situation left for Verdugo in terms of playing time he would get. I'd be interested in the Reds. I can't remember if they're looking for left or right-handed in the outfield. I feel like they'd have to be looking for right-handed. Ellie's not very good right-handed, right? And you've got Gavin Lux now. I think McLean's a switch hitter too, or is he just right-handed? I don't know. You've got you're right-handed at catcher right now. I don't know. They do feel like they're pretty right-handed. Spencer Steer's right-handed. I think they are looking left-handed as well. I don't know. Maybe that's the idea of Lux over India. For me, man, I'm going India every time.
Yeah.
I understand it's Lux and Singer, but to me, that's a wash anyway. But I have a hard time getting excited about pitchers when you pitch there. But I do like a lot of theirs. Yeah. But I feel like getting Singer, you just pushed Rhett Lauder out, and I thought Rhett Lauder was fantastic. Anyway, Cali Buccos fan says, I have more faith in Jack than the others. I think because Jack's shown us more, right?
Right.
And I think that's the easy way. Jack's ceiling is a lot higher than one of Palacios. So I think that if both of them reach their ceiling, Jack's the guy. But what Jack did last year, you might be like, well, at least we get some clutch hitting from Palacios. So, but either way, either one of them are going to need to play up to the best of their ability so that we can have that if this thing's going to work.
Yeah.
Dave White, Reds have a better manager. We were talking about that. Cali Buccos fan, Jake, I feel that side, man. So 2025 is on Shelton. Douglas Smith said, Pirate Queen says Vanilla Dream Team about the vanilla cream. Guys, you're killing it tonight. This is interesting, though. Let's talk about this for a second. Dave White, I'd rather try York with Jack than Grichuk. Are you York or Cook when it comes to an outfield? Because I feel like I am not there yet. If you're talking corner outfield, I'm Cook all day.
So I had to look it up because I didn't want to be completely oblivious here. You're looking at a guy on all levels. He's 22 years old. Across all levels, he's almost logged 3,000 innings at second base. Left field, 248, which is more than I was expecting to see. Right field, 35. Center field, 54. So there's more outfield in there than I thought, but
more center
still
field
not
too.
Still not a ton of outfield. And then the hit tool.
But Billy Cook is the best outfielder on this team. Defensively.
Yeah.
Like he's
Arguably.
really good. Arguably.
Yeah.
Who?
Well, we just don't know what we're getting yet out of
Cruz.
Cruz.
That's fair.
You know.
But from what you know right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
James Garkowski's out here talking about the snow in Mississippi Gulf Coast now. We were talking about this on the onset of the show for sure. Just roll with Jack and York over Verdugo. Mutu says the same thing. Once again, like I just think they would be more apt to go Cook and Jack.
Yeah.
York to me is a guy who's got to play every day. I don't care if it's happening here or in AAA. I don't want him just platooning against only left-handed pitching. That's not a whole lot of at-bats. And I'm saying that this is a guy who I want, if one of those three infielders goes down, I understand you have Jared Triolo, but I wouldn't, if I have York in AAA and I have an injury from one of those three, let's just say Hayes or Gonzalez to make it easier. If you get an injury from one of those guys, I guess if it's, I don't know, they're gonna put Triolo in there. But for me, I would rather give Nick York a run and let Triolo continue to play the same game he was playing before that day.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be my pick. I don't believe the long-term starter role from Jared Triolo is the best point. I think there are some times that we get excited about those sort of things, and I think we can get in our own way. Like, oh, Connor Joe in the month of April and May was killing the ball. It was like, yeah, he was put in good situations, but because he was killing the ball, he earned the ability to play more, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
You can't do that, especially for platoon players. There's guys who just hit one side of the ball and they earn more playing time, but the only reason they earn more playing time is because somebody else isn't holding their end of the deal. So that's fine, but what I'm saying is that when you go that route, you overexpose these players. Jared Triolo is a good example of that. If you keep him in a small sample, he's more valuable for your team because he's still going to hit at the same sample as he was when he was playing part-time, except you're getting a lot of outs along with it.
Yeah.
Now, all these things that we say are like anybody can step up and be better next year. That's the hope of baseball. Any of these guys, there could be guys that we're writing off. There could be guys that we're not talking about can have a great year next year. They can show up and they can ball. And that might be Liover Peguero, who we haven't even mentioned until this moment. And I'm not saying he's going to, but any of these guys, if you're at this level, and we like to say that all the time, that guy's bad at baseball. He's not bad at baseball. He's not bad at baseball.
No.
I know people who are bad at baseball. I'm not bad at baseball. I was not near good enough to even get anywhere near this stage. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are a lot of people who are just bad at baseball. These guys are not them. We're grading them on a curve. I understand. But these are the best of the best. If you even have the opportunity to make it there. Granted, there are a few guys who've made it to the Pirates and other teams who maybe didn't earn that. But they earned it in a way of like, they're still out there. They're still available.
Yeah.
Drew Maggi. What are you going to do? Like, he still was good enough to stay where he was at, which gave him the opportunity.
Yeah.
So, any of these guys are capable of just turning it up a notch and having the year of their life. It might only be 1 year, but they're all capable of it. There's your hope. You got it? Canyon says the Angels might try to get Verdugo. Okay. Does that open up for a Taylor Ward trade? I don't understand why you would do that. I feel like Verdugo would be more than what Taylor Ward is going. So I would imagine if they get Verdugo, they're probably keeping it. They're probably keeping him, but I don't know. Mutu says, my thing with Cook is I'm not sure he can hit right-handed pitching. Well, that's the thing. I'm not asking him to.
Right.
In this scenario, Jack would hit right-handed pitching. Palacios would hit right-handed pitching, or Verdugo would hit right-handed pitching. And Billy Cook wouldn't. And you would just say, this is a platoon player, or even a platoon player and late inning defense. Because I would do that too. I would bring him in late in a game for defense. He's good enough for that. Right?
Mm-hmm.
OG saying Billy Cook is might be better in the field, but he's a pop-up machine. York is a much better bat. I like York. Listen, I like York better than Cook. I've said that. I said that last year when I watched them for 4 games in Columbus when they came through here. Everything that happened between the two of them, I was way more impressed with York as a ball player than I was Cook. Cook was great defensively, but York just seemed like a ball player. He was gritty. He was hitting the ball hard. Cook, I think, the pop-up machine, he does elevate the ball a little more. There's probably a little more power potential from Cook. If he can figure that out, there's more power potential there for sure. But like Nick York, just hard line drives the other way. He's going all fields. He's a ball player. And I just absolutely loved him. But he's also a guy that I think would be a momentum type guy, a guy that would benefit from playing every day. And he's still so young. I think this will be his age 23 season. I'm just not ready to just make him a backup right now.
Right.
I just want him to be a starter. Billy Cook going into age 26 year, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with him being a backup and playing part-time, playing a role. He's old enough. Let's get that guy a show contract. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's get him that first year show contract and let him make a little bit of coin and let him figure out a way to be a better baseball player at the major league level. I still think Nick York has value to playing every day. It's not about what you can learn sometimes in AAA, but more about just consistent reps, just continuing to play every day.
Yeah.
It's all good arguments, though. I mean, like I said, there wouldn't be a day I'd complain about York in right field. I like him as a player. I just would rather see him play every day.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, I get that.
Cali Buccos fan says, Bay, Alika, Gonzo, York, Peggy, Triolo, IKF. That's a lot of middle infielders. What's Termar's path? You think he gets a cup of coffee in 25? I'll address the first one. I don't think Bay's a middle infielder anymore. I think those days are gone. I think the only way he works is as an outfielder now. I think middle infield is interesting when I think about like Triolo. Second base, I think he could play short okay, as good as IKF could, but I don't think they're willing to jump in. I think they'd rather see Gonzalez at short and they'd just put Triolo at second.
Yeah.
However, and I would say that too. Like, I would see Triolo playing second or short is secondary. He's a third baseman. That's his natural position. That's what he's best at. So I see where you're going with that, though. I mean, right now that's the hole he's filling. Termar's path is similar to the one that I would expect from a Gonzo or a York or an IKF. But IKF's here this year, right? And he's gone.
Right.
Termar's path is a starter. Termar's path is a guy that you would hope can make an all-star team. And I'm not saying I'm saying he will. I'm saying for what you want out of your starters are guys that you think could possibly make an all-star team. And I think you can get something like that. There's a level of you in that can say, okay, Nick Gonzalez at some point in his career could make it to an all-star game with a great year. And Nick York, I'm telling you, I see this guy as a starter. I could see that happening, right? Just absolutely smashing one beginning of one season and makes an all-star team. I guess that's true for most guys, really. But you know what I'm saying? Like, he's a starter. And that's, to me, that's Termar's as well. But to get a cup of coffee this year, man, if he's raking, I could see like a late season, like, let's reward him with a cup of coffee. I think his path is if the Pirates aren't winning.
Yeah. I was gonna say, if we're not in it.
If we're not in it, I could see that little like, or just a ton of injuries, because Termar could absolutely pass up Bay, Alika, and Peggy. He could absolutely pass those guys up.
Yeah. No doubt.
I don't know if it'll happen this year, but I like that thought that there's a possible cup of coffee from Termar this year. And I think,
did you see he fell off the top 100 prospect list?
Dude, that list is whose list? That's what I want to know. Baseball America or Pipeline or
I don't know. I just saw somebody mention it.
They don't like him
somewhere.
They don't like him, and they haven't. That's happened before. He dropped pretty low last year, and they don't like him. He's not a complete player yet. He gets better. He has a good season this year. I don't know. Maybe finds his way on there. The thing is there's new players getting drafted every year, and they love those kids right the year when they get drafted. They love them.
Mm-hmm.
You hardly ever go up, right? Only the really, really special ones make their way up. Most people find their way going down because there's only more kids that they just drool over every year.
Yeah.
So
that's fair. Yeah.
If I was doing a prospect list, Jake, I would lean more towards Pipeline, because I think Pipeline thinks about how close they are, how good they are overall, not just potential, but also how they're doing. And I tend to care more about that. Like, if you're 18 years old and I think in 5 years you could be a stud, that's cool. Number 11. Like, I'm not excited yet. When I want to get excited about number 1, I hate seeing a guy who, like Connor Griffin right now, number 2 on our list. And it's like, I can't even get excited about that.
Right.
I'd rather see Thomas Harrington there. I'd rather see Termar Johnson 3, because these guys are actually like, hey, you can start paying attention to the top 5 guys.
Yeah.
You know, that's how I would do a prospect list. And I think everybody's free to do a prospect list however you want. OG says Termar would have to have a monster year to even get a cup of coffee. So starting in Altoona, I feel like that cup of coffee, like, 3-4 games at the end of the year, like we saw from O'Neal Cruz, I think something like that is what I'm thinking. So yeah, maybe even a sip of coffee, right? Right, OG? That might even be just a sip of coffee. Maybe not quite a cup, but yeah. Queen says, hope springs eternal, and that is very much the mentality for 2025. It kind of has to be, right?
Yeah.
It kind of has to be. And that's where we are right now. That's where this team is sitting right now when we do nothing. And to be fair, that's their Termar conversation. We shouldn't even have that conversation. If we just sign players that makes you think there's no way he's making it, and maybe that's the point of that exercise is there's probably no way he's making it, right? But if there's no way, actually, here you go. Termar is turning 21 next year. There is no rush. I agree with that.
Yeah.
You know, what you're saying here, Gigamasher, is that, like, when's the last time we rushed somebody and then we hated him?
Right, Cole Tucker.
No. How about Henry Davis?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I understand how good he was doing, but there's something to be said about patience.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me they knew that he couldn't hit a fastball. You know what I mean? Like in the spring, like they had to know he couldn't hit a fastball, and he was doing all his damage against the breaking ball. I don't know if that was long-term, but it certainly was that spring last year. But, it's Davis. There you go. It's Davis.
Yeah.
We rushed him, and now half the fan base is he's a bust. I know Bucko Mike's out there saying he's a bust. And that's fine. You're allowed to have your guys that you don't like. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But large in part because we had to see that. And it was obviously too much for him.
Yeah.
Bucko Mike with his average. Jake could pass those guys up. He's talking about Bay and Alika.
Not on the base path.
That's fair. Or really, when you talk about Alika with a glove either.
Yeah, no,
He's there. Dave White says, I don't think York has anything to prove at Indy. I think Termarr will be traded. There's a hot take.
Man. I mean,
go ahead, because you're all in on Termarr.
There's always that possibility, but I really like Termarr. I think he's the one bat in our organization that we drafted that has real potential. Like, it's a real thing.
Yeah, the one. That's the problem.
Right. I mean, you can throw York into that, but I'm saying of the guys we've drafted, of the bats we've drafted.
Different bat, too. You know what I mean? Just a totally different approach. So.
Yeah, I'm not trading him, but I understand why that thought process comes up.
Yeah. Mutu says, Hank is weird to me. 133 weighted runs created plus against four-seam fastballs in 2023. So there you go. It wasn't a long-term problem. Then, and this is not a joke or a typo, minus 15 against them in 2024. I think he was just so fooled by the curveball that he decided he was going to be patient and just got absolutely destroyed.
Yeah. This here, Bucko or Mike said, Bucko Mike says it's not that I don't like Davis. He can't hit elite heat and he bashes 90 mile. So you don't think there's a tweak or an adjustment that he can make to be able to hit that elite heat? Like, I don't know. I think there's adjustments that can be made that can cause you to catch up to that heat. You know, it could be a front foot thing. It could be a trigger. Like, I don't know. That there's a lot of adjustments that can be made. That if you can hit a fastball, you can hit a faster fastball.
What if you just got bad eyes and you're just late? You just make up your mind. Well, but he hit him good in 23.
Yeah.
He hit him good in 23. It's a good point. I don't know, man. I would say there's a lot to like about this team, but I think it's more along the lines of it's a lot of interesting. I think there is a path for this team to be good. It's just not easy to see.
Yeah.
It's just not easy to see. If you like watching the prospects come up and to be good and to work their way through and to grind, and you like that type of that type of thing. I mean, I know Major League debuts for me, must see TV. I can't get enough of it. Show his mom. Go ahead. See if I tear up. Go ahead. It's like people are like, do you ever cry? And I'm like, Major League debuts. I get the weirdest faces. I'm like, shut up. Like I love them. That's baseball for me. Oh, it's all that work. It's all that time. It's all those days and nights. It's all that. And it's like, it's here. And it's nothing. You know what I mean? You finish that at bat. It doesn't matter if you're 0 for 1 in your whole life. Like you legit made it to the show.
Yeah.
That's it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe that's not as cool to a lot of guys. That does it for me. I love it. So I love watching the young guys come up. I love the fight and everything that they're going to have. Like it's, every day like it could be your last. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I'm with you on all that.
So, I don't know, man. A lot there for me to be interested in.
Right.
Hard to be. There you go. Matt Haig. Listen, one of the things about Matt Haig, Cheryl asked the same question. Do you think Haig will make a difference this year? One of the things about him and what he's done before is they care about contact. So, like, when he was with Toronto, the teams that he was the hitting coach of, the contact was high, less strikeouts, good contact rate. If he brings that mindset to this team, it will make a difference. Probably the reason why Doug said runners of scoring position that's going to be a big difference.
Yeah.
A lot of guys don't change anything. And you know what I mean? There's other guys that are going to be like, no, there's a guy on third. Like, I'm putting this ball in play. And how many shows in a row can we say? How many times last year with runners on second and third and nobody out did we have back-to-back strikeouts? You know what I mean? It is that time, Jake.
Yeah.
This was a fun one. I know, like, in a way, you never want to talk about how, the off season is full of shortcomings, but it's still good conversation. And that's why we do this type of thing. That's why we're baseball fans. That's why you're sports fans, right? So you can talk about stuff. So, yeah. The chat was awesome tonight. You guys
were on fire tonight.
I can't even keep up with it. I absolutely love it. So a lot of good stuff coming from there. I mean, listen, Pirates fans, we deserve to have a winning team, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of good, there's a lot of good people out here that know a lot of things, throwing stats into the chat. I love that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I love the stats, love the numbers. I just wish I wish those numbers could be higher. I wish we could talk about awesome things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Guys,
hey, maybe we'll get there.
Maybe we will.
Friday.
Tomorrow is Hawaiian Shirt Day, guys.
Friday is Hawaiian Shirt Day. So
have a great weekend with your freezing cold Gulf of America.
Dang it, Bobby.
Let's go, Bucks.
Let's go, Bucks.
Thanks for listening to my dad and Uncle Jake on the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Follow them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Bridge2Buctober. Don't forget to subscribe so you know when new episodes are released. Clear the deck, cannonball coming, and let's go Bucks.